¿Cómo estamos? Muy buenas tardes. ¿Qué tal a todos? A todas, a todos. Gilipollas. Vale, vamos a probar un juego que salió en 2022, creo que es. Creo que es antiguo, no lo tengo claro. Pero bueno, lo que es para el PS5 salió en 2022 porque es desde cuando le tengo echado el ojo y la curiosidad. Y la verdad no me lo iba a comprar si valía, porque vi visto trailers y me parece... Muy buenas tardes a quien acaba de entrar, gracias. Pues eso, que vamos a jugar a Stanley Parable. Es un juego que no me iba a gastar 30 euros, pero ha bajado ahora a 7 euros creo que son. Y digo, va, vamos a probarlo, va. He visto algún tráiler y parece que es un poco raro. A ver, va. Nunca se me viene a ajustar, la verdad. ¿Será aquí, no? No sé. Joder. También te digo mi dirección. Claro, son las 5:46. Claro, 46. ¿Tiene algo que ver? ¿Esperamos el 47? Sí. No te puedes hacer principal. No tengo ni idea, ¿eh? No he jugado nunca. He visto el tráiler y ya está. Me da curiosidad y ya está. Esperemos que no me vacile demasiado.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Ujú.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
Parece el inglés
And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Tengo que moverme. Ah, vale, me muevo yo ya. Vamos a mirarlo todo bien. ¿Por qué? Porque lo que sale en el tráiler es que este juego te trolea. Me está poniendo ya nervioso el reloj de los cojones. Pero el inglés parecía el de inglés de Student Book y todo el rollo. A ver, ¿me puedo agachar? ¿Vale? No puedo saltar. A la X no sé. A la X es como si toco una tecla. Estoy mirando. No puedo hacer nada más que agacharme y agacharme. Ni salto ni nada. No puedo hacer nada más. Vale, vamos a mirarlo todo bien porque... Claro, la hora es la misma hora que en la vida real. ¿Por qué? Claro, me han pedido la hora por algo, supongo. No hay nada por aquí.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Vale, te está diciendo lo que tienes que hacer. Por el amor de Dios, por favor, desconecta este material. Así que... Mátame. Estoy... Y es todo el rato lo mismo, ¿no? No. Lo que puedo saber de la vida que se... nada... ¿Ves? Ya
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Vale, es como que te está diciendo lo que hace el pavo. La hora es... No sale en punto, aún son -10, crack. No lleváis bien el horario, ¿eh? O aquí el horario es diferente. Pero no puedo leer las otras notas. Te va narrando lo que vas haciendo. Pero no dice nada de lo que estoy leyendo. No sale del todo. ¿Y no puedo abrir puertas? Vale, al botón.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Da rollo, ¿eh? A mí me da rollo, ¿eh? Como me venga un screamer me va a pegar un susto. Y me va a cerrar la puerta otra vez. Y me voy a cagar en su puta madre. 4:22. Vale, 4:31. Y no puedo abrir mi puerta, ¿no? No. Me va a matar alguien. Me va a asustar. Puedo abrir. Claro, por eso sonaba como que tocaba un teclado. ¿4:25 es esta? ¿4:26 y la 4:27 es la mía? Claro, esta es la que hemos visto aquí. No, esta es la 4:29. Estoy mirando todo para que no me trolee el puto juego porque me lo va a liar. Si parezco un poco cansino y tal con observar todo, lo siento, pero es que veo que el juego me la va a liar. Quiero intentar evitarlo. Que no, que me va a matar o me va a pasar algo. La hora... ¿Ves? Aquí la hora va bien y en el otro la hora iba mal. A ver, se escucha... ¿Esto qué son? Facturas, cosas así. Es que no quiero avanzar. Me apela lo que diga el narrador. ¿Pero esto es un espejo? No. ¿Está igual la otra habitación que esta? No, vale, no está igual. No es un espejo de... Vale. No sé. Ah, puedo cerrar y abrir puertas yo. Vale, es que no sé quién es el malo. No sé si hay malo. Es que no sé de qué va el juego.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Y ahora empieza el troleo. ¿Por qué? Porque si sigues lo mismo... No puedo cerrar esta. Vale, vamos a hacer caso a lo que dice. 411. Me quiere comer un puto screamer.
Yet there was not a single person here either.
Me encanta.
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Vamos a hacer caso a lo que dice el narrador, ¿vale? Vamos a hacer caso a lo que dice, ¿vale? No me persigue nadie. Por si acaso.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Vamos a hacerle caso, ¿va?
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Hostia, el color de la habitación. No voy a ir. Joder, la habitación es
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Pues, pero entonces, ¿lo uso o no lo uso? Claro. Me ha dicho, yo no
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
¿La uso o no la uso?
2845.
Que sí, pero yo no la puedo saber. No da mal rollo ni nada, la puta vez. Gira de tal manera.
Forgot, but it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself, and Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
Ah, vale. Jaja. Joder, voy a morir. Claro, yo no me lo puedo saber. Joder, es que me va a dar susto. No me apetece asustarme. Voy a morir. ¿Está cargando? ¿Qué cara?
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Me puedo ir a casa. Coño. Los ha matado todos, seguro. Segurísimo.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Primero vamos a hacer caso a lo que dice el narrador, ¿vale? Hola. Como venga alguien corriendo me pego un tiro, ¿eh? ¿Qué hago? ¿Le doy? No dice que hiciera nada más. Dice que me acerqué, pero no que hiciera nada más. Vale, vuelves. Aquí vuelves. No dice que hiciera nada más. Vale. Pues nada, vamos a dar. No, es que no dice que haga nada más.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Claro. Esto lo vi en el tráiler. Pero es que, no, claro, no sé qué va a pasar.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Ese soy yo. Vale, no me dice que avance. Y matices que le faltan aquí, ¿Y para qué querría yo subir? Un poco como Matrix, ¿eh?
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Estoy indigno al pago. Vale, ¿cómo lo desmantelamos? Vale, esto no está apagado ahora mismo, el control mental técnicamente. Lo estoy pasando mal, lo estoy pasando mal. Vamos a romperlo, vamos, ¿no?
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Vale. ¿Ya está?
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
¿Podía?
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin,
Eso no lo
the
encontraba
feeling
yo.
of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
¿Ya está? ¿Ya está? No me lo puedo creer. No me lo puedo creer. Hostia, ¿ves? Por esto digo, ¿y si me llego a gastar 30 pavos por esto? Que dices, vale, ahora vamos a jugar mal.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Sí.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
¿Sí? Sí, las imágenes están iguales. Hostia, estaba en tensión todo el puto rato en el juego,
When
¿no?
Stanley came to a set
¿Sí?
of two open doors, this was
Pues-
not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Mirarla, mírame en esta, crack. No voy a hacerte ni caso.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
¿Le hacemos caso o no le hacemos caso? Vamos a no hacerle caso.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Se ha cabreado, Se ha cabreado. Ah, ya no lo puedo volver. Se ha cabreado, se ha cabreado. Se ha cabreado. Claro, no tengo la tarjeta de acceso. Se ha cabreado,
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not.
Se cabrea,
I
se cabrea.
realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that... But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Hostia. Pues enfada,
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Vale,
Stanley
sí, vale.
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Se enfada,
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
Se
Perhaps he
cabrea,
wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow. Yes, this room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous, gorgeous room. Thank goodness Stanley had taken this detour on his way to the meeting room. Life without having experienced this room was now too horrible even to consider.
Es diferente el diálogo,
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Vamos a hacerle caso, va. Aquí sí.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Ah, vale, porque aquí estaba esta puerta. Vamos a ir al baño ahora.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
No.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down?
Una
Why
polla.
did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went?
Vale, mira.
And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground.
Se ha cabrado.
Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up.
Me voy a llevar un susto.
He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over.
Se ha cabreado, eh.
Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay. Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Como sea un screamer, me cago en su puta madre.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Ah, muy bien. Ah, vale, muy bien. Sin sentido, ¿eh? La hora vuelve a ser igual que al principio. No ha cambiado. No tiene ningún sentido, tío. Ay, joder. Un segundo, ¿eh? Ay, cabrón. Vale, seguimos. Es como tal el juego no lo hemos pasado la primera vez.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
No voy a hacerle nada de caso en nada. En nada, de nada, de nada, de nada.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Vale, vamos a hacerle caso a nada de nada. Venga, va, nada de nada.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Trollea, Aquí no me voy a suicidar.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
¿Qué cojones? ¿Me está amenazando el pavo? A ver, lo bueno es que no me como ningún screamer, ¿sabes? Lo más así heavy es cerrar la puerta. No puedo hacer nada. ¿No puedo pasar? ¿Puedo usar esto? No da rollo ni nada. Ah, pues vamos al negro. Me cago en...
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her.
Ahora, vamos a hacerle caso. Y tenemos que dejar el teléfono sonar. ¿Qué coño?
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right.
No me puedo mover, ¿eh?
Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
No quiero.
Sorry, but you're in my story now.
No puedo abrir ninguna puerta. No puedo irme. No, me va a dar un susto.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Ahora sí que se cabrá, sí. No lo voy a hacer. No lo voy a hacer. No lo voy a hacer. No lo hago. Me niego. Que no lo voy a hacer. Tan mal rollo, Que no lo voy a hacer. Todo el rato te voy a llevar la contraria. Como un cabrón. No puedo tocar nada. Y no voy a abrir la puerta de nuevo. Que no voy a hacer. Así voy a estar. A ver qué pasa. Así voy a estar. ¿Qué pasa? ¿Qué quieres? Me debes dinero por los servicios que te acabo de hacer. Solo lo dejo ahí. No lo voy a hacer. No lo voy a hacer. Me va a matar. No lo hago, No lo voy a hacer. Que no quiero. Que no quiero. Buena bubis, Que no quiero. No lo voy a hacer. No puedes saltar. Eso es que le he dado muchas veces a la X o algo. Me lleva un premio. Un trofeo en la Play. Es que ha dicho que es la historia de mi muerte, ¿sabes? Entonces no quiero morir. Pero a lo mejor lo ha dicho porque sabe que voy a llevar la contraria y por ello me va a matar. No lo voy a hacer, aquí vamos a estar, chat. Lo siento, Sus quiero a todos, pero aquí vamos a estar, me la pela. Me la pelo. No le voy a hacer caso. Lo tengo muy claro. Que le jodan. Que le jodan. Me niego. Me niego. Le estoy dando la X por probar. Es que no. ¿Qué pasa? ¿Microondas? No va. Que no quiero hacerlo. No puedo hacer nada más. Que no quiero. No lo voy a hacer. Me va a matar. Me va a matar. ¿Se está moviendo? No hace nada, Me miro los pies. No tengo pies. Le miro los suyos. Para que tenga fetiches. Esta girada, esta velocidad de girada, que no es como un juego de yo que sé, un Battle Royale, por ejemplo. Esto es para llevarte a un fucking screamer, pero de los de tamaño universal. Que no lo voy a hacer. No lo voy a hacer. Aquí estaremos. Hay un hueco aquí en donde no puedo darle la X. ¿Ves? Este hueco es como que está bloqueado. Está hecho así el juego para que no pueda llegar aquí y abrir la puerta. Los programadores han ahorrado un ratito ahí, ¿Me va a matar? Si me vas a matar me lo dices ya, calva. Me ha hecho gracia solo. Que no, 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 que no. ¿Qué hora es? Voy a dejar un ratito más. A ver qué pasa. Vamos a tener paciencia, equipo. Equipe. No lo voy a hacer. Calva. ¿Me das un beso? Me ha dicho el narrador que eres mi mujer. ¿Te puedo hacer lo que quiera? ¿Tengo tu consentimiento? No lo voy a hacer porque yo soy una persona autónoma. Me agacho, me levanto, me agacho. Mira, me voy a poner la tele, que te jodan, tío. Hostia, a todo esto, este es su apartamento, vaya puta verga, ¿no? Qué claustrofóbico, tío. Ha dicho que era mi entierro, mi asesinato, una polla. Si le hago caso voy a morir. Paso. Que no quiero. ¿Cuánto rato podemos estar aquí? Pues aquí estaremos, no tengo ninguna prisa. ¿Qué día es hoy? Lunes, me la pela. Ábreme. Ábreme la puerta que me voy. Discusión de pareja. Discusión de pareja. Ábreme la puerta. Ábreme la puerta. Voy a llamar al 016. Que me abras la puerta. Calva de mierda. Voy a ver si hay algún puto bug. Claro, técnicamente si no estoy haciendo caso en nada, no voy a hacer caso tampoco en darle el triángulo de mierda. Que no quiero. Ábreme la puerta. Calva de mierda. Ábreme. Ábreme la puerta. Escúchame, mujer de Will Smith en color blanco. ¿Me puedes abrir la puerta? Sí, puto. Narrador de mierda. ¿Dónde estás, narrador de mierda? Ven aquí. Que te mato. Narrador. Que no quiero. No lo voy a hacer. Me niego. Me niegue. Coño, eso es una moto de fuera de casa. Me he asustado, ¿sabes? Que no quiero. Hostia, llevo aquí como 5 o 10 minutos. Ya me estoy volviendo loca. Venga, va.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
Jódelo. Me va a tener aquí haciendo el imbécil. Me va a tener aquí haciendo el imbécil.
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Que no quiero. Ah, cambiar esta mierda. Calva. Vamos a hacerle caso.
But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful, and each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
Joder, macho. Qué cruel, ¿no? Me quieres salvar, me quieres dejar en paz.
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
Me van a matar.
So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
Vamos a hacerlo de nuevo.
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
Es como que te incita para que juegues todo el rato, ¿no? Algo así. No sé, estoy loco yo también.
But there is no
Te amo,
answer.
Calvo.
How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Claro, ¿ahora qué hago? ¿Lo pulso o no lo pulso? ¿Qué debería hacer? ¿Hacerle caso a él o hacerle caso al no él? ¿Sabes? Vamos a no hacerle caso. Vamos a no hacerle caso. Me refiero a hacerle caso al narrador y no hacerle caso a lo que pone en la fucking pantalla. Para morir. Tengo miedo. Echo de menos a la calva. Me hacía sentir no tan solo. Buen escritorio, ¿eh? Un poco hecho una verga, pero buen escritorio, ¿eh? Me mata el reloj, es que no puedo con los relojes así. Me voy a sentar en mi escritorio y voy a seguir trabajando como hago siempre. Joder, tío, me tiene encerrado el puto juego. Me tienes encerrado. ¿No hay un bug por aquí? ¿Está bien hecho el juego entonces? ¿No hay un bug en que yo pueda ver algo? A lo mejor te dice que no lo presiones por trolearte, rollo. Como no le vas a hacer caso, te quedas aquí media hora haciendo nothing. Vamos a hacerle caso a la pantalla.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Vale, pero es que si no le aprieto los botones no puedo seguir haciendo nada más. Nada, voy a
I
suicidarme.
suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried...
Claro, por no hacerle caso me he muerto. ¿No? Vamos a hacerlo todo como me ha dicho, ¿vale? No está cambiando, ¿no? Y ahora la puerta ya ni se cierra, ¿no? La primera vez se cerró. Ahora no me dice nada. ¿No? Ahora hay un teléfono sonando. Ha cambiado, ¿eh?
Hi, Stanley. Just wanted to leave you a message to to let you know there's a few things I need you to pick up on your way home from work today. We need milk, cereal, dish soap, spaghetti, get a thing of sugar, some bread, and coffee beans, whichever ones you like. I'll give you a call if there's anything I forgot. Thanks, sweetie. See you tonight.
Ah, se han pirado todos y ya está. Vale, ahora sí que puedo cerrar. O sea, cerrar sola. Vale. Se ha vuelto interesante, ¿eh? La tontería. Ahora es diferente. Ahora no hay narrador. Claro, por no haberle hecho caso, se ha enfadado, ya no me dice nada. Tiene que darle al botón. Vale. Hostia, está guapo totalmente, ¿eh? Cuidado, ¿eh? Vale. ¿Y si hacemos lo que él quería que hiciéramos?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first time understood true happiness. Then the feeling went away, and he felt sad again. Then it came back, and lingered for a minute or two. Now it's only half there. Just a kind of, tingle.
Es diferente el diálogo otra vez, ¿eh?
Yes, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
¿Cómo me vacila, eh?
At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left.
¿Cómo se mete conmigo? Se enfada, ¿eh? Se enfada el hijo de puta. por mantenerme aquí y por no haberle hecho caso la primera vez.
Stanley sat around waiting for more dialogue. But when a long time had passed and there was no more, he decided that the game was trying to send him a message.
Aquí te espero diálogo de mierda. No va a decir nada más. Hay momentos en que pienso que a lo mejor tienen que pasar como minutos largos, ¿sabes? Como un buen rato rollo... Estar aquí un cuarto de hora no haciendo nada y que sirva de algo. Pero esto es gilipollas. Después de un cuarto de hora y que salga un diálogo preparado. Pero no va a salir nada más, parece ser. Te troleo, ¿eh? No va a salir ningún diálogo más. Se ha cabreado. Venga, vamos a cruzarlo.
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
No.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
No puedo subir aquí. ¿Me dirá lo mismo que antes?
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
No lo voy a
That's her,
coger.
Stanley.
No lo voy a
You
coger.
need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
¿Ves enchufarlo? ¿Puedes enchufarlo?
As Stanley picked up the phone, a white light engulfed him, filling him not just with radiance, but with hope. Hope for a life reunited one... Wait. Oh, goodness. Stanley, did you just unplug the phone? No, that wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly? I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double-check. No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another.
Mentira, lo
Music
probamos.
comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not
Mentira.
picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner?
¿Cómo?
You're not Stanley. You're a real person. I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
¿Qué cojones?
Choice. It's
¿Qué
the
cojones?
best part of being a real person.
¿Qué
But if
cojones?
used incorrectly, can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Rupert has a choice. He
Sí,
could
cabreo,
invent a
juego,
machine that eliminates food shortages across the world to make life better for all people. Or he could spend years of hard work forgetting how to read. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack, and crack."
No se las 4:30, ¿eh?
Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material
Joder.
covered in this video.
No puedo quitarlo, ¿eh?
Ah, welcome back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
¿Puedo reconectarlo? ¿No puedo hacer nada? Si cojo el teléfono. Me pega una amenaza, ¿eh? No, ahora no puedo volver. ¿Qué hago ahora?
Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story. That story would make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
¿Cómo? Claro, la tarjeta la tendría por algún lado. Ah, me va a hacer volver al principio.
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending, the story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world.
Yo creo que ya no me va a dejar volver al mundo real.
Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
No lo voy a hacer,
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not too late.
¿Estoy cargando el juego? No puedo abrirla, No puedo. No nos deja. No deja chat. ¿Se cambia algo más? Nada, no te deja, ya está. Esta no la puede ni tocar. He medio entrado. He vuelto a medio entrar. Que no te quiero hacer caso, tío. Que no te quiero hacer caso. Nada, no te deja, ya está. Ya está. No, ya está. Quería probar una vez más. Uy. Ahora he hecho caso.
Oh, it's ruined. I can't believe, after everything we talked about, that my story, you've destroyed my work. Why? For what? What did you get out of that? What did you think was so special about seeing the game undone, left here like so much garbage? It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever, reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? What do I... No, I have to. I have to shut the game down. I have to. I have to.
Hostia, qué susto me metí, me hago su puta madre. Antes de llorar. Puto man. What the fuck? Se ha cabreado,
I'm here. I'm still here. Here in this pile of rubbish. With you. You. Who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are. My entire game is destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you've run it into the ground. What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see? Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley? He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child.
Gracias. Voy a... Ahora luego hacemos lo que te pide, ¿vale?
If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard to make...
Se cabrea.
Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Pero luego, si volvemos a empezar desde el principio del todo, vuelvo a coger la izquierda. Lo hago todo bien.
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back. Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Se había rayado. Se ha rayado, ha vuelto a pasar lo mismo, yo creo. ¿Qué es esto? Creo que va a volver a hacer lo mismo.
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back.
No me deja.
Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first.
No me deja ya.
I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Se raya. ¿Ves? Se raya.
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back.
Se raya. No me deja. No me deja.
Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing
Ya hemos hecho
responsibly
una cosa
and
que el
always
juego
putting the
tiene pensado
story
que hacer
first.
luego.
I'm quite sure
Si
you'll be
intento
up to
otra
the
vez,
task.
voy a volver a
Just follow
probar
my
más
lead and
para
you'll
no
be
hacer eso.
fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back.
Ya no deja. No te deja.
Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
¿Se puede buguear el juego?
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back.
Ya no me deja, ya no me deja.
Behave exactly as Stanley would.
Ahora vamos a
That
hacerlo
means
normal.
choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Pues ahora te he hecho caso de que te queja juego.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Antes sí que podía abrir la puerta. Ah, no deja.
Coming to a staircase,
Oh,
Stanley
it's
walked
different, ¿eh?
upstairs to his boss's office.
No hay... Es diferente también, no hay escaleras hacia abajo. Pero pobre ahí. Ah, ya no pone que es la habitación del váter. La habitación del váter, ¿sabes? Yo creo que el juego está cabreado. ¿Qué coño?
Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Night Shark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
¿Tengo que hablar? ¿Hablo? Una polla.
Stanley spoke the code. Night Shark 115. He spoke it into the receiver, right there on the wall.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
I'm sorry, is there a problem? You didn't mishear me, did you? Please speak the code into the receiver. Otherwise we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
Okay, fine. You're not going to do it. But you know what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward. You... When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
¿Qué cojones?
Stanley? Hello? Are you... Is everything okay? Stanley, please. I need you to make a choice. I need you to walk through the door. Are you listening to me? Can you hear me? Is everything all right? Stanley, this is important.
Me está troleando.
The story needs you. It needs you to make a decision.
Me está
It
troleando.
cannot exist without you. Do you understand me? Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You cannot be wrong here. We can work together. I'll accept whatever you do. I simply need you to take that step forward, please.
Me está troleando.
Choose. Do something.
Me está troleando.
Anything. This is more important than you can ever know.
No te lo
I
crees.
need this. The story needs it. So, you hear me? Are you there?
Hace rato que está hecho con el Unity.
Stanley, are you there? Okay. It's okay, I can wait. You need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice. That's all right.
Me está troleando.
I'll wait for you to decide what's the right thing to do. Take as much time as you need.
Me está troleando. La hora vuelve a ser la misma de antes. Vamos a hacerle...
Someone was following Stanley. He was sure of it. If he checked over his shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It was only a matter of time.
What? A cambio otra vez. No, me voy a ver el screamer. Ha cambiado, ¿eh? Ya no vuelve a ser igual nunca, jamás. Es que estos giritos... Las puertas siguen teniendo el mismo número.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach, giddy in a way he had never known before. Was it this room? A connection between the two? Could a man love a room? I mean, truly, truly, deeply. madly. Love. Yes, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
Ya te pone el último texto de no voy a seguir diciendo nada más.
At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left.
¿Cómo se enfada, eh?
Stanley sat around waiting for more dialogue, but when a long time had passed and there was no more, he decided that the game was trying to send him a message. But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
¿Cogemos el teléfono? Vamos a coger el teléfono, va.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you forgot. Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Pues tirar otra vez de la puta habitación de mierda. Supuestamente en esta nos está siguiendo alguien, ¿eh? Joder, tío, están todas las puertas cerradas. No.
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
De la tarjeta, cuidado, ¿eh?
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door.
Ahora ya ha cambiado.
I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door.
Vamos a cerrar.
All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you.
Se cabrea, ¿eh? No va a haber nada, yo creo.
You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map, because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin.
¿Probamos? No. Hijo de puta, sabía lo que iba a hacer.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. Oh, well, now this is useful. You didn't like it, but you didn't totally hate it either. You enjoyed it, perhaps is the correct term. It didn't cause you excruciating pain. Big steps we've made here today, Stanley. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
¿Qué coño? ¿Qué es eso? Me vacila, ¿eh?
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up.
Me vacila, ¿eh? No.
In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience. You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain. Let's see. What do we have here? Yes. This seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot.
¿Qué juego?
Aha! Fascinating. What do you think this game is about, Stanley? What's our backstory? What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic purpose. Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
Muchas opciones, ¿eh? Hostia. Con musiquita y todo, ¿eh? Lo malo es que se te quedan... Creo que si te queda mucho... No se puede tocar nada, ¿no? Es que no quiero hacerle caso. ¿Que el mundo abierto y todo? Ah, no puedo chocar. Me haría que hubiera una opción de correr, ¿sabes? Eso sí que estaría guay.
Oh no. No, it can't be.
Un león, un oso viene a matarte, ya verás. Porque me odia ahora.
It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off. Oh, thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call. You nearly wandered off into that thing. That big, open, just wandering around. No right or wrong directions. No path to follow. You can just go in any... Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls.
Pues este es el narrador, ¿eh?
Okay, I think this will be just the thing.
¿Rocket League? ¿Qué cojones?
Wonderful. See, this is exactly what I had.
¿Qué cojones?
Just a nice big box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed.
Pone Rocket League y todo, ¿eh?
Okay, so what exactly do we do here? Let's see. There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together. Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
What the fuck? ¿En serio?
Hold on. What are you doing?
¿Me he muerto?
Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
Vale, peso. Pero me voy a caer. No hay forma de moverse por aquí. A ver, vamos a intentar saltar por aquí. ¿Habrán tantas opciones, de verdad? ¿Es un esto de sonido o estoy loco? Si hubiera... Claro, lo malo de este juego es que te planteas, ¿y si hubiera hecho lo otro? ¿Y si hubiera hecho lo otro? ¿Qué hubiera pasado? Y así todo el rato. 4:27. Esto es música. Me va a llevar un screamer, pero de la leche.
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice. And if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
El Rocket League, tío. Vale, si volvemos a precio, vamos a hacer todo lo que él diga. A no ser que diga que nos está persiguiendo a alguien, va. Volvemos. Vale, hemos vuelto.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ya ha cambiado. Ha vuelto a cambiar. Ya nunca volverá a ser igual, ¿eh? No jodas. Claro, por eso te pregunta la hora. En base al tiempo que llevas jugando, las cosas cambian.
Oh, New content? What does that mean, new content?
No. ¿Qué cojones?
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers.
No sabía.
After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
Hay más camino, ¿no?
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
¿Tengo que tocar algo?
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it. I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if them... Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
No quiero.
All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
Eso es lo que tú te querías, ¿eh?
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
¿Cómo desconecto esto? Será lo que necesitaría para moverme por el ascensor, ¿no? Supongo.
Goodness, another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And if... Oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
La hora sigue siendo desde el principio. Llevamos casi 2 horas jugando al puto juego.
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's trophies, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test trophy, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
Me devuelvo al principio. Ahora ya cambió todo. Eso es el principio. Echo menos de cómo era el principio del juego, ¿eh?
Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
Nunca hacer caso al pavo.
Oh, you don't want to see the cool surprise I made for you? Well, fine. You're a dork anyway, so who cares? When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was grand, majestic, perhaps too majestic. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Eso no ha cambiado.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone... What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door. Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door.
No.
I still don't think we're communicating
no.
properly. Stanley... All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you.
¿Va a ser igual?
You see? There's nothing here.
Es igual.
I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what,
Está repitiendo ahora,
let me take a stab in the dark at a new design and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin. Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. Aha! You see, I knew I was onto something. Where do these flashes of inspiration come from? How did I know the game needed a third door? Well, it's instinct mostly, a calling in your gut. I really couldn't say where the idea came from, except that I felt it in my soul. You can't teach that, Stanley. Don't even try. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look. Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please.
¿Qué cojones? Claro, él espera que yo le... No puedo entrar. Se ha bugueado. 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 Ey, he ido por la puerta de la izquierda, tío, no me rayes. Claro, solo hay dos opciones. Si os acordáis, en la anterior vez que ha pasado esto de lo de las votaciones, había una puerta, la puerta normal, que tú entrabas y salía por la puerta de la derecha, y la puerta de la derecha que tú entrabas y salía por la puerta normal. Me refiero a normal, no, la puerta naranja. No puedo, ya está, se ha bugueado. No puedo hacer nada. Ha estado bien. Ha estado bien. No sé si la próxima vez que juguemos me dejará volver en este punto, pero está bien. Lo vamos a dejar aquí, ¿vale? Muchas gracias por verme y quien haya estado aquí, un besito y feliz año. Gracias por verme.